Um, data. All right. So data analysis part. All right. This is your raw data table. And wait a second. Uncertainty tools. Hold up. Let's go over the data analysis and uncertainty. References and figures and tables. Graph tables are closely possible for its references. So, in the aspect of data analysis, just make sure that the communication and recording are all clear and precise. It's also part of graphs. Your grammar, etc., is also part of this category. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So let's go over recording and processing data tables. Uncertainty tools. All right. Centimeters, smallest duration. How did you measure? There's a calculation, right? So, is your weighing scale digital, or is this like you use like a grudge? What do you call this? A triple balance. You didn't use a balance,
It was
are you?
additional.
Okay, so it's oh, this is strange. Is it really five? This is weird. Well, if it's like this, I can't really. Why is it five?
Because I think the calculation was like the smallest like graduation of the measurement divided by two.
Usually it's also usually it's already written in the package, right? Like if you put if you, it's usually in a sticker, especially if it's a Japanese one, they would say that this is accurate from 0.001 gram milligram.
Hmm.
Okay,
I
so
can
in
go
the
check. Yeah,
yeah, so especially Vernier measurement tools. Did you use a Vernier tool?
I
Not
think
necessarily, right?
maybe. Yeah.
I saw one IA that used a Vernier, like like uh I think for pH, but nevertheless it's written there. So I yeah, just check that if it's 5, okay?
Hmm.
Ruler is 0.05. So does that mean that one this is I saw the ruler that you used. Does that mean that this is how much? Because I could say that from 9 to 10 this is 1 centimeter, right? And each line is 0.1 centimeter,
Yes.
correct? So does that mean that you are having a mistake until 5? Because it's 0.05. There a calculation for this? Here, smallest graduation, this is calculated.
Yeah.
Okay. Pipette, okay, 0.03 mil 10 milligrams of graduate 10 ml graduate cylinder G. Okay. All right, moving along. Quantitative data. You don't have a qualitative data. If you did not, that's fine.
It's
Oh, it's here. Okay, qualitative first before quantitative. Okay.
hmm.
Okay. Um, or it can be because this is a, how do I say, this is a um, raw data, right? In the raw data, it can be combined. If there's only like color change, etc., you can just put like one column. It says qualitative and qualitative data. You can write it here, so you can
Okay.
only have one table. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Because this is just raw. Anyway, this is just raw data, right? Or is this already? Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no,
This is
this is raw data.
yeah. This is just raw data. So you can combine it, and then later in the process data, then explain how you process the data that you have. All right. Let's go over. Okay, descriptive data, you calculated for skewness. This is the formula, but did you did you use a calculator? There you
Yeah.
go. All right. So this is a sample of one data. So you use 0. Do you think that 0 is the ideal measurement, or the first with a, but nevertheless, it's basically just looking for like a sample calculation. So for 0%, this is the data that is, it's just giving kind of evidence that you actually calculated it and it's correct. Okay, measures of central tendency. This is the formula and the calculation you use. You know, you can actually say that to measure this the central tendency, I used this formula on Google spreadsheet, average by the name of the table. It's actually acceptable.
Okay.
All right. So this is the mean. Okay, measure of spread. So why are we doing this? Why is the measure of spread is done? What it's therefore suited. Yeah, standard deviation measurements of distribution data is used in mean. This measures the how is this measure is accurate for data sets with 5 or more values per manipulate. It's therefore suited for this investigation. No, you're just telling us. You're not explaining to us why the measure of spread.
Do
Okay,
I
so
do I say that I have like 5 or more values for my manipulator levels?
um you have to justify why calculating the standard deviation is appropriate to your data. Is it suitable for your statistical analysis later? Is it, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I get that you do that. I get that it's part of, but why? What is this used for? What are you going to use it for? Okay? Is the standard deviation going to be used later?
It was used as like an error bar for the graph.
Okay, then say it.
Yep.
Right? Because if say standard deviation measures distribution data relative to their mean, so you are just giving me the definition of what standard deviation is, but it's not necessarily explaining why it is ideal or essential to your data processing. Okay, because that is what we're looking for. The processing of data relevant to addressing the research question is carried appropriately and accurately. Okay, you want to establish that I am doing this because this is essential to my data processing. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving along, so you have here this is the table, right? This is the table
Yep.
of that, and later you will use that to graph. Oof, the graph, radical length. What does it tell me, right? So this, and this to visualize. Is it price here? Preciseness of communication. Tables are well organized. Consideration of uncertainty. Appropriate and accurate data processing. Okay. Appropriateness per trial is determined by the RV, rate of percentage, skewness or outlier is performed. You did that. Appropriate measure of central tendency, you did that because it's relevant. But why, right? The element of why is missing right now. Appropriate inferential test performed, correct conclusion. Okay, so please make sure that um, you look into the mark scheme.
Yep.
Okay, so there you go. And then we go over the inferential statistics. What did you use? P-value. Pearson. You used Pearson. Is this relevant? Is Pearson relevant? Is this correct? Is correlation appropriate?
Yeah.
Did you explain why?
So to evaluate, like the test is used to evaluate like if the correlation between two variables is significant.
Yes. Okay. So this I'm just testing you. I'm
Okay.
testing you if you actually can justify to me why Pearson is relevant. Okay. So if we are testing Pearson, um, there, because you are using, or this is already a kind of a a relationship. This is a relationship that is already uh kind of hypothesized. This is already predicted. Okay. So Pearson is a measurement. It's a measurement or a statistical tool to see how closely related the independent variable to the dependent variable. All right.
Hmm.
So if you already have like an established conclusion, Pearson um, is appropriate. All right. Okay, so null hypothesis. So I would suggest that this is part of the. Uh, I would suggest to write it in the research RD, in the research design.
Hmm.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about. It should
Yeah.
be up there. Okay, instead of waiting till the end for your RD. And you use, what did you use? You use the website for this, right? You use the
Yeah.
website for the R value, for the Pearson correlation of science statistics. Why am I having all of this? Okay, and then point 0.5, the p value is what the result is not significant. All right. Okay, because the variance is too high,
Yeah.
right? Even with zero, the variance is a lot. Although you're expecting some sort of inhibition, correct?
Hmm.
So, how do you think that this, how did you interpret this?
In my
Let's see.
conclusion.
Okay, let's see. Mm-hmm. Significance. So this is what you got here. Let's go over your conclusion. All right. To look into your conclusion, we look into the most important outcome of the investigation. What is your outcome?
Whether or not it supported my hypothesis.
Okay, thank you. The data obtained from this agency obtained in this device. I wonder why. Okay, but when you doubled it inhibited. It went down though because the ideal is
Yeah.
2, right? So it showed some you were expecting that. But having a 5, because if from 4, which is double, but 5 is high, right? So um is that something that you looked into, or um you kind of identified? Okay, so conclusion: state the most important outcome. The conclusion refers back to the research question. So did you go back to the research question and say how?
I think in my scientific explanation.
How do varying oxygen concentrations inhibit? Did your, yeah, did it go back there to your research question and the data yeah, is there background research? Initial research indicates the greater concentration signals cascades inhibit corn, yet referring to the signal loosely decreases. There's also various conflicting correlation. Uh-oh, a plausible reason this is not looked at, right? That is for later. That is for the evaluation, right? So the conclusion refers back to the research question. The conclusion avoids to be too definitive or too overgeneralizing. The extent of which the hypothesis is supported by the data is explained. Is there anywhere here in your data or in your graph that supports the hypothesis? Right? Is there an explanation? Is there some sort of correlation? So think about that.
Hmm.
because I see a correlation somewhere here, but not here, right? It's weird that your zero is higher than your test.
Yeah.
This is your ideal, right? But it
Mhm.
yielded higher. So it's kind of strange. The extent of which the hypothesis supported data is explained. Okay, so consistency of the analysis. The conclusion is correct and theory is supported by interpretation. See, it needs to be supported by the data. So explain, you need to be able in your conclusion, you need to explain or you need to refer back to your data.
Mhm.
Okay? So the scientific explanation of the results is described. Comparison is made with published. There's no comparison with the published data. Oh yeah. Oh, wait a second. Here.
Yeah.
Okay, it says here contextualizing is fine. The data contradicts studies. Okay, by Margaret, which concluded the greater auxin. Okay, so there's a kind of comparison. What is happening here?
I think you're
All
double
right.
click.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, and key data of the analysis is given and trends in the data are discussed. So that is the limitation. I don't see yet in the conclusion. So this can be
I think I put it in like the first paragraph. Like, I remember like I described like it was still like loosely declining. Like,
mm-hmm.
so in a way, it sort of supported the negative like hypothesis, but like
Yes.
there's still like too
Got
many
it.
outliers for like a definitive conclusion.
Okay. Then let's go over the scientific context. Let's go over the evaluation. Okay, almost done. Almost done. So I, uh, it should be all right. It should be defined differently. Evaluation. Okay. So let's go over your evaluation. Evaluation. You have to look into the weaknesses and the improvements. What
Mhm.
is the limitation and what is how will you improve it next time? So you remember that this part is a quarter of your grade. Here, you kind of exhausted yourself here a little bit, don't you
Yeah.
think?
Mhm.
Right? First of all, I don't see any references of citations or let's read it. Okay, let's read it together. An uncontrolled variable was watering. And you said a while ago that you controlled it.
Like I was planning to control it, but then like just like the lab was like it there was like interference with my schedule.
So it's the schedule that's the problem. Or okay,
Like
because you have it said, see, writing this is a how do I say, um you establish in the beginning that this is your control variable.
mhm.
So you're saying that you weren't able to control it despite the fact that you have planned it. Is that
Yeah.
what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
All right. So all right. Definitely, well, it messed up your work, right?
Mhm.
It messed up your work quite a bit. So just establish like why. But I would suggest to make to write it in a um on a table. So also it will help you. Um, it could help you put together, because remember that the improvement should be based on the limitations that you identified,
Mhm.
right? So if it's in a table and they are kind of side by side, you won't lose track of answering that limitation,
Yeah.
right? So I would suggest instead of writing it in a paragraph form, because there is a tendency at this part, every student is already exhausted. So it's better to write it in a um, in a table form so that you don't lose sight of what you need for the improvement. Cool.
Mhm.
All right. So Weakness, limitation specific to the methodology. Explain how the investing may have introduced limitations or weaknesses. All right. It says, while they were supposed to occur every 2 days, you're watering. I could not water on weekends, causing irregular exposure to the solution. Well, um, additionally, the process of watering was occasionally rushed and imprecise. Overall, the stunted and reliable. Yeah, yeah. So meaning that you have deviated from the plant control.
Yeah.
All right. During data collection, it was occasionally difficult to distinguish the radical from the root, causing the misinterpretation of the true radical length. How about the days? Right? Because you decreased the days from 35%, you could have given your roots a little more time to grow so that you won't be confused if it's a real root or not. Don't you think?
Yeah.
All right. So again, this is the part where you can reevaluate your methods or your um, how you change some stuff, right? So remember, from zero point 0.1, do you remember in the beginning you said in the protocol that it's zero point 0, it's zero point 0.1 mole,
Mhm.
but you change it tenfold. You used 1 mole.
Yeah.
You see how much difference that is? It's a lot. So from 0.1 mole to 1 mole, that's a lot of concentration. So the huge amount of concentration. Remember, from zero point 0.1 mole, 100% above it is zero point 0.2 moles, correct?
Mhm.
So you'd have 10 steps above the protocol.
That like the 0.1 to 1 mole, that wasn't for the oxen concentration. It was for like dissolving the powder itself.
That's right. Even yes, exactly. But that in itself is has deviated a lot further from the protocol. That's probably why you
Yeah.
are provided with a very different result.
Mm.
Yeah, so think about that. Additionally, because again, in the IA, having these kinds of mistakes is not bad, or it's not like a point against you. It's a point for you to realize on the evaluation, right? It's like the because we are expecting you to do this independently. So ideally, students will get these kinds of mistakes,
Yeah.
right? So what matters is that you have evaluated this well, how much you have deviated from protocols and things like that, and realized how it changes results very differently. Cool.
Mhm.
All right. So I'm that's why I'm also happy that you wrote it, so that now we are having this kind of realization on how different that is
Yeah.
from the results. Okay. Okay, almost like give me like probably 5 more minutes and we're done.
Okay.
All right. So what else? What else has changed? So that because to give this a 6 marks, we are looking for at least five.
5
Five is a
limitation.
sweet spot. Yeah, five is a sweet spot. So change because you change the days, right? You change the days. You change the control of water is inconsistent, as you have said, right? Um, the concentration is way above, like you doubled and 150%, right? So that is also a concern to me. During the collection, because it's difficult to distinguish the radical because you limited the days instead of 15 in the protocol. Your
Mhm.
procedure is only 10. What else? Additionally, data collection tools like the ruler has uncertainties, reducing the accuracy of measurements. How could you do this next time? What would be a better tool? Okay, a vernier caliper. You know what? Wait, can you? Bride me on a second. I will show you something, okay? I sent it to another student. I just have to look for her IA. Chotomate kudasai. And I will give you a link that you can review of what kind of limitations has happened. One second, okay? Ito. I hope she didn't. Uh-oh. Here you go. Here. Copy. Copy. And for you, did you see it changed? Okay, here. Let me send it right here. Errors and limitations. I'm gonna add it here. Okay. Comment. Comment. And I'll put the link. Okay. So if you look into this link, okay, so it will help you identify what kind of error have you committed. Is it an instrumental error, observational, environmental, and theoretical? What you have mentioned a while ago about the water, that's environmental,
Yeah.
right? You were not able to really measure the temperature. That's environmental. Instrumental um instrumental limitation is that you used a ruler. What would have been a better instrument to use? Okay, have you seen a vernier caliper before? I'm sure you have it in the lab, but this is something that you could have used.
Oh, those. I don't know if we had them.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
okay, so this is a measuring tool that I would rather use for that kind of thing instead of a ruler, because it's way more accurate, up to millimeter.
Mm.
Okay, so at least this is instrumental. um what else? Oops. Yeah, so it can be theoretical. Okay, so the experimental procedure, right? That is the kind of things that you could have looked over, right? So um yeah, so it's either, is it a random error, is it a systematic error? Cool.
Mhm.
All right, and then suggestions and improvements. So if it's written on a table, it would be easier to identify. So identify about five.
All
Okay.
right.
What else have you could think of? So I gave you about three. What else could you think of that you could look into or
I
have a
think
review on?
like diluting the solution. So like
Mm-hmm.
the oxen powder, because I had like 1 gram initially, and then I think I like just diluting it a few times and also using the pipette might have led to like a lot of uncertainty.
Okay. So reevaluate the calculation of your reevaluating the calculation of your dilution.
Hmm.
Okay. So that, however else, because you need to have five. So that's four.
Uh,
Right now, but as your review, okay. So as you review your procedure, perhaps you could look into how it may have affected your results. Okay. So the
mhm.
good thing about this IA is that you didn't really manipulate much. You're actually using the data that you got. Okay. So you're not really rigging it in a way. Okay,
Okay.
so that's that. Again, so let's recap and look into the four sections. Okay, so for the research design, what would be your action plan?
Reduce a lot of the like just keep it condensed
Mm-hmm.
and focus on like justifying why my experiment is relevant and why it's
Mm-hmm.
significant rather than like detailing about all the little background information.
Okay. Review your citations that
Yeah.
they are relevant to, like if you were referring them, ensure that they are also relevant, and you wrote it in such a way that um, you have paraphrased it in such a way that you're not really diluting what the author is saying, but you're incorporating it in your own interpretation that makes sense to your background information.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you could think of? Also, remember you have to reduce significantly with your research design, because your
Yeah.
research design itself is 11 pages
Mhm.
long. So it has to be it should be condensed with 3 pages. And remember your methods. You have 35 steps. Make sure that it's less than that, but it's more concise. It's easy to follow, and the fluidity of like why are we reducing this and all that should be in the background information.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. How about in data analysis, communication?
Don't have broken tables.
Okay. No
And
broken tables. Data is clear and precise. Tables are named, but if they are not necessarily helping you in the process, put it in the
appendix.
appendix part. Okay, cool. All right. Record of processing of data shows evidence of appropriate considerations of uncertainties. You did that with the table, but I want you to review your calculations.
Mhm.
Sample calculation would be also appreciated. The processing of data relevant to addressing the RQ is carried out appropriately and accurately. So remember, like instead of giving the definition of standard deviation, give us the background why the standard deviation is appropriate in terms of processing the data that you got.
Yep.
Okay, how does it and then at least verbally you were able to justify to me why Pearson is appropriate, but in written form in the IA not so much, right? So that
Yeah.
is something you need to work on. Conclusion part needs a bit of work in terms of um, like hitting more of justification on analysis of data, as well as putting together the scientific context. I mean,
Yeah.
you did that, but it just needs a little bit of improvement. Evaluation, you're a bit exhausted in this part because you're already at
Mhm.
like page 23. So, all right, just remember, better to write it in a table so that you don't lose track of your improvement is based on this sort of limitation that um, that you identified. All right. Of
Yep.
course, references must be in APA. Is this A B C D F G H I? Okay, so I think this is um, in alphabetized anyway, so this is good, and you are in APA as a school, right? All right. So before we end, do you have any last words, Sarah? What is your how will you move forward with revising your IA? But how do you feel right now and things like that?
Uh, pressure.
Pressure.
Like I mean, I'm relieved that like I get like another perspective on it before
Uh-huh.
submitting it. But I also like figured I have like a lot to do before, like in like 20 days before submitting.
Well, but the good thing is you still have 20 days,
Yeah.
right? You have 20 days, so take it a little step at a time. You know, first day work on the intro. The second day, just pace it in such a way that you are not too exhausted, and you are also, um, you're freeing up your brain. Like at least now, based on the sections, you know what to work on.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yep.
Alrighty. All right. Now, thank you so much for your time, Sarah. And I know it's been a long, it's been a long kind of, um, it's a long kind of process, but at least you got like a very comprehensive kind of feedback from your IA. All
Mhm.
right. Thank you so much, Sarah, for your interview, and I hope you get a 7.
Thank you.
All right. One second. Don't drop yet. Okay, don't drop yet.